So it might surprise you to learn that golfing was invented in Wyoming 100 million years ago. Hello, welcome to Layers with Larry. I'm Larry. These are my layers. Today we're going to briefly visit rocks and fossils of the Thermopolis Shale, Mowry Shale, and the Frontier Formation. As the name shale implies, these are marine deposits primarily, but fairly near shore. The Frontier Formation shows, again, the ocean going away, and we find deposits that are more like swamp-like. There's fossils of things like alligators and turtles and stuff like that in there. We're going to take a look at some of those today. So if you look back for a moment at that great Cretaceous seaway that ran north and south across this part of the country that you've seen before, we're on that western edge, as you can see in the picture. And that edge moved. I mean, sometimes the ocean was well over Cody and the water was pretty deep. Sometimes the ocean was moving to the east of Cody, and so we were in marshy lands, rivers coming down from mountains to the west that are long since gone. The Rockies we see today are just the latest set of mountains. There have been 3 sets of Rocky Mountains in the past, believe it or not. The picture you're looking at right now shows a nice exposure just before Diamond Basin as you're heading up the South Fork. You've all seen it before if you live around here. And it shows towards the top the hard Frontier Formation, about third of the way up. The middle part is all Mowry Shale. Both of those are very hard, durable rocks, and that's why they form cliffs. The Thermopolis Shale is towards the bottom of this picture, and you can't really see it very well because the Thermopolis Shale being very, very weakly cemented together, it weathers away really quickly, so it doesn't form cliffs. If anything, wherever there's Thermopolis Shale, it forms lowlands and maybe even valleys. So if you have a layer of rock here that's hard, you have Thermopolis Shale here, another hard rock over here. When they weather out, you'll have like a big hill here, a valley in the middle where the shale used to be, and it's eroded away, and then the hard rock on the other side. The kinds of creatures that we find in these layers, not surprisingly, range from marine-type creatures, similar to, well, these are from the Mowry Shale. These are ammonites, if you recognize that shape and pattern from the Cody Shale video, or something like this jaw with teeth. It kind of looks like a crocodile jaw, but it is a reptilian thing, but it's a seagoing reptile called a mosasaur. This one's from Kansas, but you can see it's pretty good at eating fish. And some of the mosasaurs got really, really big. This one's from Morocco called Tylosaurus, and he was good at eating fish and ammonites, for example. So ranging from ocean type things like that, and other ammonites like the baculites that we saw in the Cody Shale too, to land type creatures like turtles. This is a fossil turtle from South Dakota. It's about 40 million years old or so it's much younger than the stuff you might see in the Thermopolis Shale. But being a vertebrate, you can't really collect in the Thermopolis Shale. I like to go and visit and explore, and I find all kinds of interesting things in the Thermopolis Shale. In fact, even speaking of crocodiles, sometimes you find things that the crocodiles left behind. Well, you can use your imagination a little bit about what you might be looking at there. But it's rock hard, and there's no particular smell, and it doesn't taste like anything. But as you can tell, it used to be leftovers, meals from a crocodilian. In science, we call it a coprolite. And I can lick it and smell it without any problem because, like all things that get fossilized, the material that was there originally has long since been replaced by other minerals. Just like when fossil wood or wood gets turned into a fossil, there's no wood left there. It's just turned into solid stone. So that's kind of a surprising thing to see. So going back to the beginning of the video, Wyoming invented golf balls 100 million years ago, but as you can see, they're not very bouncy and not very round. It's a good thing people have made better versions of them. But I still like the Wyoming version. When I go out to visit the Thermopolis Shale, sometimes I bring along a golf club when I find these Wyoming golf balls laying on the ground, and if you find them, you're probably near or in the Thermopolis Shale. It's a good way to tell. We don't always talk about fossils in Layers with Larry. We talk about minerals when it's appropriate, and Wyoming golf balls are just that. They form in the Thermopolis Shale. They form out of a mineral called dolite. These are called dolite nodules. Sometimes you can be just scattered. There'll be hundreds of them all around you. They're really pretty cool. And with freezing and thawing in the wintertime, they don't stay around very long. They often end up being like this one, which we'll show you a close-up of. And you can see the way the crystals splay out from the middle. So it's a little crystal formation that started at some point on something. We don't exactly know how they formed, but the crystals grew outward, and eventually the shale weathered away, and these things were harder than the shale. So they weathered out and are exposed on the surface.